wonderful, fantastic, lurid, macabre. These are the stories of my life. Improbable though they may appear, it must be understood that each reminiscence is rooted in fact. Some of these tales will amaze you, some may shock you, some may even horrify you. The truth is stranger than fiction, so prepare a handsome repast and proceed with caution. It occurred to me that whilst doing all of these snack and stories, that most of them I never really ate any so-called snacks in them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now with some Mother's. I don't know if you can see what they are, but essentially they are circus animal crackers. I love these things. Can't get enough of them. But anyway, on with the story. Welcome to another installment of A Snack and a Story with Miles. This time, as I said in that little introduction, with a snack. You know, these little animal crackers, frosted or iced, whatever. And I suppose, now this time round, I will tell you the story. This story, actually, I wrote down as a short story and had it critiqued in my creative writing class at a college that I went to, which will be its own snack and a story by itself. Anyway, let's begin. So, the short story that I wrote involved I suppose, two brothers and a father having breakfast at their table, and the youngest brother, gets mustard sauce on his waistcoat and, tries very desperately to clean it off, because he's got work to do that morning, but he ends up burning through the shirt, and ultimately, trashes that coat and goes with another one. But anyway, that's the story, and I called it originally A Most Stifling Debacle, but I'm now going to change the name to Mean Mr. Mustard, in reference to the shortest Beatles song ever recorded. But anyway, the inspiration behind that story goes as follows. So one day, this was about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Seems like most of these stories are 2 or 3 years ago. One day, my brother and I were on the breakfast run on a Sunday. We always do breakfast run to get breakfast for everybody. Mum, Dad, myself and him. And we decided to go to Taco Bell. Because I happen to like their Crunchwraps. Yes, Taco Bell's Crunchwraps are Miles approved. And so, basically, we got our food and such and everything, and we went back and all sat round and ate, and such. And I was said to go to work at Mum's shop that same morning. Actually, my brother and I were said to go to work there. Mum had already left on account of something or other, can't quite remember. But essentially, the way I do my crunch wraps is that I sort of open it up, like I'm dissecting it like a frog or a dog or really any animal, to expose its innards of sausage and egg and potato and all of that. And then I put in me hot sauce, at least 2 or 3 packets, because I like it hot. And that's usually how I go about things. That's how I operate. But my brother found this method to be very inefficacious, and he thought that I might as well apply the sauce, little by little, with each bite, so that I might have a flavor explosion with every bite or whatever. And I scoffed at the idea, but I tried it anyhow. And it worked fairly okay for a couple of bites. Only thing is, I was wearing my work clothes that day. And, as I was applying it on very gingerly, I had the hot sauce packet. I might have squeezed a little too hard or put a little too much on there. And the drop, like a real big drop, fell down and blotted itself right in the center of my shirt right there. I left a big old stain and such. And I ridiculed my brother for having taught me this method, because look what happened. But the thing is, I learned this from, I guess, basic just experience, that if you get a stain, if you treat a stain within the first, 10 minutes of its existence, you could easily eradicate it and make it seem as though that it never was. So I was going to do this to my shirt. The shirt I was going to wear to work. And so I went over to the bathroom, the master bathroom, and, applied soap and water and such to the stain. Only problem was that it seemed to really to accentuate the stain and make it bigger. And, still I kept at it, trying to see if I could, treat it somehow or other, but with no avail. But I was still insistent that it had to be treated. So I took the hairdryer. I don't recommend this. I took the hairdryer, I sort of held it over my shirt, to dry it off, but nothing was happening. And then, out of desperation, I sort of took it and then shoved it up my shirt just so the stuff would dry faster. And it was drying faster. Perhaps a little too fast, because within about, maybe 10 seconds, there started to be engendered a little brown circle that started to expand round the area where the stain was. And I realized I was burning through my work shirt. and left a big brown circle right round this area here. And basically, I think I tried to wear the shirt backwards. It wasn't really a shirt. It wasn't a polo or anything like I usually wear. Well, it wasn't really a button-up. It was just a regular t-shirt. But I tried wearing it backwards and such, and, I walked out very much defeated. And my brother and father are asking, what's going on here? Why are you wearing your shirt backwards? And I said, well, it's because of, I burned straight through it. And, because of you, my brother, you made me do this. And, I wouldn't shut up about it. I'd let him know that it was his fault, that he taught me his method. And ultimately, that led to myself wasting a shirt. I had to toss it, actually. And basically, I did put on a new one. And everything was all fine. We went to the shop and everything and, operated it fairly well. But when Mum finally showed up at the shop, she wanted to know what happened to my shirt, because I was wearing a different shirt when, I was, from when she laid out for me this morning, or that morning. And so, fairly knackered, and really, I really could not be bothered with this. I began to tell her the story of how it all happened. Since then, I have not burned through any of my shirts. I don't plan to. And really, I have not practiced that method of putting the sauce on little by little, bite by bite. So, the moral of the story is, I guess, test the method first before you, execute it or whatever. And do it with clothes that you feel as though you'd be willing to part with. That you wouldn't necessarily mind getting ruined. Anyhow, that's the story. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you back here next week with another one. Alright, goodbye.